Whew. These lenses and cameras go through hell and back, I'll tell you. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. About 2 weeks ago, I filmed a video. It was called How I Balance Weight Training and Running, or Endurance Training. The feedback was great. I actually was at HEB yesterday morning. Someone approached me and said that they've seen that video. They're training for the fire department. They're from a military background, and they themselves and people they know are trying to balance weight training and running, just like I am right now. So I decided I'm gonna do a part 2 of that video, make it a series, dive a little deeper into how I personally balance weight training and running and how you can too. So welcome to the video. I'll tell you, something that is absolutely game-changing that we recently added is stand-up desks to the new BPN HQ. If you don't have a stand-up desk, it will save your back, especially your lower back. And when it comes to training, running, and lifting weights, makes it a whole lot better. But what I want to dive into in this video, I made some notes this morning of key topics for part 2 on how I balance weightlifting and running. First thing I'm going to talk about, it's training for volume and intensity, super important. The second one is having an intent and a purpose for each one of your workouts. The third one is nutrition, applying proper nutrition to be able to handle both running, endurance training, and weightlifting. And the fourth topic I'm going to touch on is recovery techniques that I personally implement, and mobility, which will improve ultimately your running and balancing both weight training and running. But I'm telling you, get a stand-up desk. It will change your life. It has changed mine and my complete day and everything that I do. Now, maybe you just want to be able to run and lift weights. You want to train different parts of fitness. You want to be fitter, you want to be faster, you want to be stronger, you want to be bigger. But when I'm creating this type of content, I feel like I'm talking to a lot of people in the military, in law enforcement, firefighters, because I was there. I was in the infantry. I wanted to be big and strong. I wanted to be as big and strong as possible. However, I was required to run. I was tested on my ability to run. And as a leader in the military, I had to be able to run and hold that standard up front. So I'm breaking down this content thinking of that type of athlete, military, law enforcement, firefighter. So that might apply to you, that might not apply to you. I'm about to break down the whiteboard, volume versus intensity. Now I will tell you, when I was in the military, I didn't really understand the difference between both, or at least not to the extent that I do now. And if I did, I would have been able to structure my training and facilitate the training for my platoon a whole lot more effective and efficient. I wish I knew this stuff. I really did. So let's break down volume versus intensity. So let's break this down, volume versus intensity. Now, volume is going to be like your longer, slower runs. Zone 2, Zone 3 heart rate zones. Intensity is going to be like intervals, sprints, tempo runs, threshold workouts. Your heart rate is going to be higher in intensity. Volume, it's going to be lower. However, now this is where it comes into play. About 80 to 85% of your workouts should come from volume. They should be your longer, slower, easier runs. 15 to 20% should be intense workouts. Now, let's look at this week for me right now. This week, I have 52 miles total. However, only 8.5 of those miles are intense in terms of like 200 meter intervals, 400-meter intervals, maybe some mile repeats. That is only 16% of this week's workout. Only 16% of this week's workout is intense. The rest, it's volume. So volume, your mileage, your long, slow, easy runs, that is working aerobic systems. Intense workouts is working anaerobic systems. So that's going to improve your VO2 max. That's going to increase your lactate threshold, which essentially is going to help you run at a faster pace for longer periods of time. But remember, 80 to 85% is volume, 15 to 20% is intensity. So tip number 2 on how I balance weightlifting and running. This is all about having a purpose behind your training session or your workout. Now we've talked about like there's 2 different types of runs. You have a long aerobic, slower distance run, this is volume. And then you have a more intense anaerobic training session, intervals, sprints, threshold, stuff like that. Now, when it comes to balancing weightlifting and running, this is what I personally like to do. So in the first video, which I will link below, you can go back to and watch for additional tips, I break down like an overview of what an example week of mine looks like and where I put certain body parts of training in regards to what my workouts look like with running. Now on days where volume is the focus of running, I will have more of an intense training session in the gym if I'm lifting and I'm running. On days where I have an intense run, where I'm doing intervals or I'm doing speed work, I will then increase the volume of my lifting session. Essentially what I'm getting at is I'm not gonna lift super intense, I'm not gonna run super intense on the same day. I'm gonna switch the systems. So for example, if I have a 7-mile easy run on the schedule for the day, which was like yesterday, then in the gym, I'm gonna go a little bit harder. I'm gonna go a little bit more intense. But like today, where I have interval workout, which I'll walk you guys through in this video and I'll show you what I'm doing, I will increase the volume, do some lighter weight, not as intense in the training session. So I'll balance the 2 systems of what I'm doing for running and what I'm doing for weightlifting for that day. And that's a good way to balance it and incorporate both in your schedule so you're not burning out and it's overtaxing your central nervous system. So today's quality session, today's an intense workout. I just did my 2-mile warm-up. So this mile has a 2-mile warm-up, 2-mile cool down. So I'm 2 miles in at the moment. Now the actual workout itself, I'll go over this, it kind of ascends and descends. So set number 1, it is 3 times 200 meters at a 43-second rep. And then there's a 1-minute walk in between. Set number 2 is 3 times 300 meters at 56-second rep. That's a 75-second walk in between. Set 3 is 4 times 400 meters at 1 minute and 26-second rep with a 90-second jog in between. Set 4 is 3 times 300 meters at a 56-second rep with a 75-second walk in between. And then set number 5 is 3 times 200 meters at a 43-second rep with a 1-minute walk in between, and then the end 2-mile cool down. So that's today's workout. I'm about to jump into these 3 times 300 meters at a 56-second rep. It's a lot of meters, it's a lot of reps, it's a lot of numbers, but we're gonna follow it, so let's go. All right, set 2, go. Down, feeling absolutely solid. One, I've noticed that when I add these intense workouts in, if my legs are heavy throughout the week from any like longer distance stuff, higher mileage, these speed workouts kind of clear my legs out. Like my legs feel better during them. Second, our FedEx guy is the absolute man. When he gets a break during the day, he comes and trains at our gym. It's pretty awesome. So here we go. Next rep. Ready?
Yep. Let's rock.
Nope. What's nice is the lap around the warehouse, 800 meters. So by the time I sprint one, jog one, we did a full iteration. So here we go. So last rep, 400 meter repeats. So after I did this one, then I have 3 times 300s, 3 times 200s, and a 2 mile cool down. All right, so here we go. Three, 2, and send it. Woo! All right. That's the 400s. Finish up the workout. And then we carb up, get some branch chains, and then we lift. Okay, so before I jump into the workout after my cardio or my endurance training, this is what I'm gonna be taking. So it's gonna be 1 scoop of G1M Sport, which is our endurance formula. So it is 20 grams of carbs in the form of cluster dextrin, and then a full electrolyte profile with 350 milligrams of sodium. So the intent of me using this after my endurance work before weight training is to just provide some sort of energy source from carbohydrates and electrolytes that I kind of lost during that run. And then in combination with Intraflight. So Intraflight is our branched chain amino acid product. So I want to get some aminos and maybe some branched chains and carbs, just so I have a fuel source of amino acids that are readily available in the body and a quick carbohydrate source. So that covers these bases right here. And then I'm also going to use EndoPump to get some more blood flowing into the muscles for the training session. I'm not going to use any pre-workout today just because I want to jump right into this workout. But this is the pre-workout stack right here. just finished up a moderate volume, but lower intensity core workout, and then primarily chest and triceps. So now I'm gonna head home. I'm gonna throw some ribeyes on the Traeger that I've been thawing out for the past couple days, and we're gonna talk the third tip on balancing weightlifting and running or endurance training. That's all about nutrition. You saw some of it in between my run and lifting here in the gym with branched chain amino acids and a carbohydrate powder with electrolytes, but we're gonna be talking overall nutrition when we get home. So we'll see you there. So after a big training day, this is kind of what a sample dinner looks like. This is a ribeye that is grass-fed, grass-finished off the Traeger. This is a reverse sear. And then we have some sweet potato. I guess they're just like, we chop up sweet potatoes and throw them in the oven and bake them and then broil them. And then asparagus that we also did in the oven with some seasonings. So this is post-run, post-lift dinner. One of the most important, if not the most important aspects of being able to run in terms of volume and intensity and lift weights is proper nutrition. Focusing on the quality of nutrition and the amount of nutrition you're consuming, the amount of calories, the amount of energy you're consuming to, one, sustain the training that you're putting your body through, and two, probably more importantly, recover from the training session so you can move into the next one and successfully accomplish what you're trying to do in that workout. Like we said, have a purpose for that workout. And if you can't successfully get through that workout, you might be, one, pushing yourself too hard, overtraining, or undereating. And all of those can play a massive role in your success in trying to run and improve and lift weights and improve. So here's like some tips that I do. Obviously, I think it's a no-brainer that if you are running and lifting, you're going to have to increase your caloric intake, the amount of calories you're consuming, to maintain your current weight, because you're going to be expending more calories. Me personally, if I run in the morning, which is what I prefer, I like running in the morning because I'll run fasted or use like a carb powder like G1M Sport, and then after my run, I will consume my first meal, which is going to be large. Like, I'm typically starving after that first meal. And if I run and lift in the evening, like you saw, I will consume branched chain amino acids and G1M Sport, which is carbohydrates and electrolytes, in between that run and that lift. Because after that run, my body is probably in more of a catabolic state, and I want to get some sort of amino acids readily available and carbohydrates to, one, provide energy into that weight training session and avoid muscle protein breakdown. You see, nutrition is 100% individual specific. What plan works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. You have to experiment with different amounts of carbs and protein and dietary fats. Some people operate and feel so much better on higher fat, lower carb, but then some people feel better on higher carb, lower fat. What I recommend doing is experiment using carbohydrates and branched chain amino acids around your training, especially if you're running and lifting right after each other, one after the other. But experiment with using nutrition around your workouts to sustain that performance and improve recovery. Okay, so I want to share an awesome piece of recovery for running that is in here. I highly recommend you guys get a lacrosse ball, throw it in your freezer at all times, and I'm going to show you how this comes into play and why it's so game-changing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the lacrosse ball, you're going to put it on the ground. Essentially, this is like myofascial release for the bottom of your feet. Now, sometimes, like me personally, the bottoms of my feet get absolutely torched from running just higher volume throughout the week. They just get achy. This is absolutely amazing. And because it's cold and it was in the freezer, it feels great. So you're just gonna roll out the balls of your feet You do each foot, just roll it around, hit all of those parts. You're gonna feel it breaking up a little bit. Do both feet, and it makes a big difference in your recovery, in your pre-training routine and mobility. So give this a try. Get a lacrosse ball, throw it in the freezer, roll out the bottoms of your feet, and experience the amazingness from it. Now, in addition to the lacrosse ball in terms of recovery, I'm gonna go over some of my other favorite pieces of recovery equipment. Now, the reason I place so much emphasis on recovery, the reason you should be placing so much emphasis on recovery, for one, to sustain your ability to perform exercises every single day. If you're running every day, if you're lifting weights every day, if you're doing a combination of both every day, your body's gonna get beat down, sore, and you need to implement some sort of recovery strategies to be able to keep moving forward. So the lacrosse ball is great, and you can use this not only on the bottom of your foot. A lot of people, myself included, in the past have had IT band issues. I get this question all the time still. So the front of my knee, like right here on the outside, was bothering me very, very bad. I know a lot of other people have this issue as well. Well, it was all IT band related, because your IT band runs from your hip down the side and attaches to your knee, and when this gets tight or overused, you can get some knee pain. So like what you can use, you can either use like this lacrosse ball, lay on the ground on it, and just roll out that IT band, or like a foam roller, any foam roller, same thing, lay on the ground, roll out the IT band, roll out your quads, roll out your hamstrings, roll out your calves. Foam roller and like a lacrosse ball are essentials. And my favorite, you've probably seen them all over the internet, massage guns. This one is by Shogun, and they even did this little Go One More brand on here, which is badass. But like, I will use the massage gun, I will use a lacrosse ball, and I will just do static stretching for my calves. That's the only thing I do static stretching with, my calves, before a run. So I'll just come in here with a massage gun, and in the morning, at the night, I'll come in, I'll hit my calves. I'll spend like some time on my calves, the inside, the outside. I will do the back of my hamstrings. I'll do my quads. I'll just spend like a good, I'd say 10 minutes, morning and night, on my legs with a massage gun, and it makes a massive, massive difference. So, recovery. Make sure you're doing it to sustain your performance. Keep moving forward. That's a video that is part 2 of balancing how I personally balance weightlifting, weight training, and running. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in the next one.